It's time for the news.
The Arab Interparliamentary Union condemned the cowardly Israeli aggression which targeted the city of Aleppo, causing several deaths among soldiers and civilians. And more airstrikes have been launched by the Israeli occupation against various areas of the Gaza Strip, killing and wounding scores of Palestinians. And the World Health Organization has said that nearly 20 million people need medical assistance in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, but the health response remains largely underfunded in the country. And those were the major developments. Now the full news edition. Good afternoon. First in our news, the Arab Interparliamentary Union has strongly condemned the cowardly Israeli aggression which targeted the city of Aleppo, northern Syria, causing several deaths among soldiers and civilians. Majid Mira has the details.
The chairman of the Arab Inter-Parliamentary Union, Brahim Boughali, said in a statement that this despicable attack targeting innocent civilians in the city of Aleppo and its surroundings has unmasked those who actually support and finance terrorism. The attack went on saying that the UIPA has approved the whole world, that's Israel, and these organizations, which are accomplices, have the same share of responsibility in the shedding of Syrian blood. In this regard, the UIPA condemned these provocative and barbaric acts, warning against the intentions of their perpetrators who try to divert the attention of the international community from the war crimes. It also reaffirmed their condemnation of these practices, which are not subjected to legal prosecution and criminal sanctions, describing them as deliberate acts aimed at sowing chaos, undermining all regional and international initiatives aimed at reinforcing international peace and security in the Arab region and in the whole world.
And 2 civilians have been killed in airstrikes launched by the Israeli occupation against sites near Damascus. In a statement, the Syrian Ministry of Defense said the Israeli airstrikes launched from the occupied Syrian Golan. Earlier, public media stressed that enemy targets were intercepted by the air defense system in the Damascus region. The Syrian Human Rights Observatory, for its part, indicated that at least 4 Israeli missiles targeting the Jamouria region, where a scientific research center is located, had caused a fire. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has condemned the explosion that targeted a vehicle belonging to the UN interim force in Lebanon, injuring 3 UN military observers and their translator. Antonio Guterres emphasized the need to ensure the safety and security of peacekeepers at all times. He said the situation in South Lebanon has been alarming since last October, expressing deep concern about the escalating violence in the region. Earlier Saturday, at least 1 civilian and 3 soldiers from the UN interim force in Lebanon were injured in an Israeli raid that targeted their vehicle near the village of Rumesh in the south of Lebanon. To Palestine now, and more airstrikes have been launched by the Israeli occupation against various areas of the Gaza Strip, killing and wounding scores of Palestinians. Palestinian sources said at least 60 people were killed in overnight bombardments launched by the Israeli occupation against the central and southern parts of the enclave. This came as the Israeli tanks had withdrawn from the Al-Shifa hospital, where they were positioned for nearly 2 weeks as part of an operation targeting the major health complex in Gaza. Local sources said that the operation caused major human losses and considerable damage. According to the director of the World Health Organization, 21 patients had died during the Israeli occupation's assault on the hospital, while over 100 others who remained inside the site are facing serious shortages, notably of water. The Israeli operation, launched over 5 months ago on Gaza, has killed over 32,800 people and wounded tens of thousands of others. And meanwhile, UNRWA affirmed that at least 100 schools it runs in the Gaza Strip had been directly or indirectly hit by the Israeli bombardments. It indicated that some of the schools had been seriously damaged, whereas many others had been used as shelters for the displaced. And the UN Under-Secretary-General for Humanitarian Affairs, Martin Griffiths, has said that attempts to sideline UNRWA must stop. Miriam Barshi tells us more.
Griffith said on an Xbox that UNRWA is the backbone of the humanitarian operation in Gaza, and any effort to distribute aid without them is simply doomed to fail. Griffith insisted that no other agency has the same reach, experience or community trust needed to do the job. Let's note that Palestinians consider the UNRWA as part of their history and a symbol of their right to return to their land, as the UNRWA witnessed all their suffering in refugee camps while delivering to them medical, food, educational and financial aid for decades. Meanwhile, the latest report of the UNRWA said that access impediments continue to severely disrupt the ability of humanitarian actors to reach people in the Gaza Strip. Since the 1st of March, 30% of humanitarian aid missions to the northern Gaza were denied by Israeli authorities. UNRWA is disproportionately impacted, with Israeli authorities continuing to deny UNRWA access to northern Gaza to deliver emergency food assistance. There has been no significant change in the volume of humanitarian supplies entering Gaza or improved access to the north. From the 1st to the 30th of March, a daily average of 159 aid trucks have crossed into Gaza per day. The highest number this month was on March 28th, when 264 trucks entered Gaza via the Karem Abu Salem and Rafah land crossings. This remains well below the operational capacity of both border crossings and the targets of 500 trucks per day. UNRWA is the largest humanitarian organization in Gaza, and it is providing storage and distribution of other agencies' food commodities. As of March 30th, the total number of UNRWA members killed since the beginning of the Israeli hostilities in Gaza is 173.
And UNICEF has warned that children in the Gaza Strip are confronted to the horrors of the war and hunger caused by the Israeli occupying forces as part of its genocidal aggression continuing for its 177th consecutive day. The UNICEF spokesperson James Elder called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza as the devastating aggression killed more than 30,000 people and wounded many others, mainly children and women, and caused a mass destruction and famine which caused the lives of some children. The Israeli occupation forces have pursued their air raids against villages in southern Lebanon, and the Lebanese National Press Agency said Israeli planes were roaming all night until today morning above the villages of southern Lebanon, and they dropped photo flash bombs on bordering villages along the Blue Line. Last night, the Israeli occupation opened fire with the use of heavy weapons targeting the cities of Merahun, Dahira and Aida. The Israeli occupation is intentionally targeting populated areas with the aim of creating a geographical zone empty of people as the one of the year 2000. And back to Palestine, the new Palestinian government led by Prime and Foreign Minister Mohammed Mustafa has been sworn in Ramallah. He is replacing Mohammed Shtayyeh, who resigned later February on account of, as he put it, the political, economic and security situation linked to the developments in the occupied Palestinian territories. The new Prime Minister, aged 69, was the advisor of President Abbas for economy and served as senior official, notably for the investment funds for Palestine as well as for the World Bank. And you're still listening to Radio Algeria International. The World Health Organization Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus has said that nearly 20 million people need medical assistance in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, but the health response remains largely underfunded in the country. Majid Mila tells us more.
He wrote on X that the health situation in the DRC is very worrying on account of persistent violence, climate shocks and epidemics. According to the United Nations representative, malnutrition increases the risk of mortality, particularly among children, and puts even greater pressure on the health system. However, he announced that the World Health Organization is working with the Congolese Ministry of Health to respond to health needs, including vaccination. He has called on the international community not to forget the Congolese people by supporting the World Health Organization to provide health and humanitarian aid. More than 7 million people have been forced to flee the violence, and hospitals are overwhelmed with injured patients. The spread of cholera, measles, polio, monkeypox and yellow fever poses a significant threat to the health of the population.
14 hours, 40 minutes. Algiers time is to listen to Radio Algeria International. And that's it for our news bulletin. I invite you now to listen to our economic program presented by Said Bouazi.
Hello and welcome to our weekly program devoted to Algerian economic news. First in the news, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Youssef Sherfa, has announced that the general census of agriculture will begin before the end of the first half of 2024. The census will be comprehensive, covering the various aspects of the sector, including animal wealth, the number of investors, and investment and production methods, explained the minister in response to a question from a senator on the deadline set for regularizing the situation of livestock farmers in the province of Nama who have been registered, and for registering livestock farmers on the platform and others who had failed to register for previous operations so that they can obtain supplies of subsidized barley. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Youssef Sherfa, has chaired a meeting with the directors of the agricultural services of the country's 58 provinces to examine preparations for the general agricultural census and the harvest threshing campaign for the 2023-2024 season, according to the ministry press release. Held on Wednesday by video conference, the meeting was devoted to examining the preparations of local services with a view to carrying out this census, described by the ministry as a crucial operation. A partnership agreement has been signed in Algiers between the National Bank of Algeria, BNA, and the company Algerie Cyber Market, ACM, making it possible to benefit online from Murabaha Equipment's Islamic financing by purchasing on ACM's e-commerce platform, according to a BNA press release. The agreement signed between BNA and ACM, a company specializing in sales by means of payment facilities via its showrooms and the Internet, forms part of the digitization and online integration of BNA's Murabaha equipment financing on ACM's e-commerce platform via its Taxit Express DZ digital service, enabling e-consumers to benefit from BNA's Murabaha equipment Islamic financing. In more Algerian economic news, the insurance market recorded a turnover of around 169.6 billion dinars in 2023, up 3.5% on the previous year, according to the National Insurance Council, CNA, in its business report for the last quarter and end of 2023. With a market share of 85%, the property and casualty insurance branch achieved a turnover of 144.2 billion dinars at the end of December 2023, plus 2.6%, followed by personal insurance with a turnover of 17.6 billion dinars, plus 7.1%, and a market share of 10.4% over the year, the same report details. Takaful insurance, an emerging financial activity that is gaining ground in Algeria, is expected to increase its share of the insurance market thanks to growing demand, encouraged by the benefits introduced by the 2024 finance law. In recent years, Takaful insurance, which includes general insurance and family insurance, has seen significant growth thanks to the creation of two specialist companies, Al Jazair Takaful and Al Jazair Al Muttahida Family Takaful, in addition to Salama Assurance, which began operations before the legal framework governing the Sharia-compliant activity was promulgated in 2021, and the Mediterranean General Insurance Company, GAM, which opened the first window of the Takaful market in Algeria. And to wrap it up, the Popular Credit of Algeria, CPA, has been officially listed on the Algiers Stock Exchange, and public trading in the shares of this public financial institution has begun between investors, making it the first bank to join the exchange, a historic step in the process of banking and financial reform in Algeria, in line with the guidelines set out by the President of the Republic. The operation took place under the supervision of the Minister of Finance, Aziz Faid, in the presence presence of the governor of the Bank of Algeria, Saleh ad-Din Talib, the managing directors of the Algiers Stock Exchange, Yazid Ben Muhoub, and the CPA, Ali Qadri, the chairman of the Commission for the Organization and Supervision of Stock Exchange Operations, COSOB, Youssef Bouznada, and executives from the financial sector. And with this, we come to the end of our weekly economic program. Take care and bye-bye for now.